Hey there, everybody, Paller here, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a short look at World of Warships, the free-to-play game from the World of Tank Makers that just came out of open beta, officially launched back on September 17th. I've been playing it a good bit in the open beta. I've put probably about 50 hours into the game. I've unlocked the first 4 tech levels of ships. By this, I'm talking about, in the game, there are 4 different classes of ships in 10 different tech levels across currently 2 fully fleshed out factions with a few more. Let me explain that a little bit more. So you have destroyer class ships, which are your fast, agile ships. You have cruiser-based ships, which are kind of the workhorse, the general purpose ship. You have battleships, which are the big guns, and then aircraft carriers. Hopefully I don't have to describe to you what aircraft carriers are. They start off at tier 1. Now there's only tier 1 cruisers. Then you have tier 2 cruisers and destroyers and battleships, tier 3 the same thing, and then finally at tier 4, tier 2 doesn't have battleship, it's just cruiser and destroyer. Tier 3 is battleship, and then tier 4 you finally get the first aircraft carrier. So aircraft carriers, there's actually only 6 tiers, but you get the general idea. Now there are currently 2 different fleets fully fleshed out in the game. There's the Japanese Navy and the American Navy. There are premium Russian ships in the game, premium German ships in the game, and I believe they are working on British premium ships or Royal Navy premium ships. It appears that when the game is fully done, there are going to be a total of 5 different factions worth of ships. Now, what faction you choose to play as doesn't really matter. You can take a Japanese ship and you'll be matched up on the same team as American ships and Russian ships. It just allows them to have a little bit more ship variety rather than have just one tier 3 cruiser. There's 2 of them because there's the Japanese and the American one. Eventually there'll be 5 of them, hopefully. The free-to-play model is acceptable in my opinion. There's basically going to be 2 different places where you're going to be spending real-world money if you want to. One is the premium ships. There are ships that range from about $12 up to about $70. The $12 ones I don't have a problem with at all. I've played against some of these. They seem to be good ships, if not great ships. They're well-rounded ships, and that's going to be the general theme. I haven't played against the high-end ones. They're tier 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are the $70 ones. By most accounts, they are also well-rounded ships, not blatantly overpowered, but strong. I don't like that $70 price tag. I think that just prices those ships out of too many people's hands. It's hard to justify that cost for one ship. I just don't like it, but I can't complain about it either as long as the ships aren't overpowered. The second place you're going to be sending currency is on doubloons, if you want to. Doubloons are a premium currency within the game, mainly used for converting XP. The XP is used for upgrading ships and moving on to higher tier ships. So say you wanted to go from the tier 3 to the tier 4 cruiser. In order to do this, you must basically research down the tree all of the needed upgrades. Normally it's going to be the chassis, and then there's a certain amount of XP, say 8,000 XP that's going to be needed to move on ahead. What you can do is if you have a ship that you fully researched all the upgrades for, you can then use doubloons, and any currency that this ship has left over or you acquire after it's done can be converted at a rate of 25 XP per 1 doubloon to make 25 general experience. This 25 general experience then can be applied to any ship whatsoever. So if you have a set of 2 or 3 ships that you really like, you can play those ships, acquire a whole bunch of extra XP, then pay $2, $3, $4, convert it all over to general XP, and apply that XP to a ship you don't enjoy and just level past it. I did this with the South Carolina, terrible battleship. I didn't enjoy playing it at all. Wanted to get past it so I could get up to the carriers. It worked. It ended up costing me a few dollars. I didn't feel gypped by it. I thought it was a pretty good investment and it was a nice way. This is helped by the fact that it's only roughly 30 cents per 100 doubloons, depending on which tier you buy at. At the lowest tier, which is like $6.70, it's like 35 cents per 100 doubloons. At the high-end tiers, it's like 25 or 20 cents per 100 doubloons. So you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to convert over your XP. I really like this model for the free-to-play. I think it's a good way to accelerate progression and make them money without really sticking it to the player and siphoning too much money off of them, making it a pay-to-win type model. Okay, so we have a reasonable free-to-play model, but what about the gameplay? Well, to me, the gameplay is just that much better than everything else. The gameplay is what really sells this game. The gameplay is a mixture of slow and methodical, yet hectic and chaotic, all at the same time. Your average match, for the first 2 to 5 minutes, you're going to spend methodically and slowly moving your ship into position, getting it within range of an enemy ship. And if you're in a destroyer, you might be there a minute and a half, 2-3 minutes. If you're in a cruiser, 3 or 4 minutes. If you're in a battleship, 4 to 5 minutes. It'll take a little while for those to happen. But at some point within the game, say around that 4 minute mark, all of a sudden, you're within range, the enemy's looking at you, you're looking at them, and boom, everything goes off. You're now in this big ship, aiming 8, 10, 12, maybe 16 guns that are 14 inches, and lobbing projectiles downrange. And the projectiles take anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 seconds to travel. And while your projectiles are going out, you have enemy projectiles coming in, and you're watching them come at you like, oh, are they going to hit me? And there's destroyers in the water trying to torpedo you at the same time. You're trying to avoid torpedoes. There's torpedo bombers coming in, dive bombers coming in. It's so funny because the first few minutes of the game are so slow and methodical, and the tension builds and ramps up that when everything breaks loose and everyone's shooting like mad, it has that much, it's kind of a sweet and savory, they work together type effect. It's made that much more noticeable by the fact that the game is a Counter-Strike style system where you only have one life. So you have to do as much as you can with that one life, with that one ship, before you're back at the loading screen, picking a different ship to go out into a different menu. And the formula works really, really well. I keep going back to it for that one single point. Even if you don't want to put a single dollar into the game, you can play up through Tier 3, Tier 4 reasonably without spending a single dime and really, really enjoy the game, I believe. We do need to point out that carriers play a bit different. So I only have the first tier carrier, which is the Tier 4, the Langley. Carriers are an RTS game. It's a little strange. When you first load in, you're going to be looking at a map, and you tell the carrier via the map where you want it to go. You can then launch aircraft, and via map, you tell the aircraft, I want you to go here, I want you to go shoot down these enemy fighters. I want you to go here, I want you to drop torpedoes on this guy. And it's all RTS style. The Langley can only have 2 fighter squadrons up in the air at a time. For this reason, I'm only keeping track of 3 things. I'm watching my ship, I'm watching 2 aircraft squadrons. Not so great. I believe higher tier carriers, when you have 5 squadrons up in the air and you're paying attention to a lot more, I think it could be a lot more engaging. I do think the carriers do offer a different gameplay experience that other people might enjoy. If you're not into the shooting mechanics, if you're not into the more chaotic nature of being a destroyer captain, you might find some real enjoyment within the carriers. Unfortunately, you need to level through the destroyers up to Tier 4 and all that to unlock the first carrier. I would like to see a way for people just to buy right into the carriers and start off with a carrier right away. I think that would be a nice fit for some people, those that want a different type of gameplay setting. But overall, I just think the gameplay, those mechanics, and that formula of slow and methodical, chaotic and crazy all together work really well for matches that tend to last less than 20 minutes. They have a 20-minute max timer. I love it. I really do love it. If you are interested in the game, you got nothing holding you back. It's free to play. Go download it, take a look at it. If you have played it, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below and let me know what you think. There will be a longer video going up where we're going to take a look at some of the more in-depth mechanics of the game. There's some interesting numbers going on under the hood. This game has a lot more depth than you might think. If you're interested, take a look at that video. I'd ask you to leave a thumbs up if you found this video interesting. Till next time, though, this has been Paller. Thanks for watching.